You meet Bad Bunny?
Oh yeah, I've met Benito multiple times because he has done a couple things for us from time to time. He had an absolutely wonderful match with Damian Priest in Puerto Rico a couple of years back. He loves wrestling. That's insane, by the way. I just want people to understand that. It was a street fight. It was like a no-holds-barred San Juan street fight. He's going through tables, getting beat with chairs, getting choke slammed. This is the biggest artist in the world. This would have been like Michael Jackson in 1986 at WrestleMania.
Right. All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Today's episode is at the beautiful Redwood Room at the Clift Hotel in San Francisco. Stopping by for conversation on the drink today is one of WWE's biggest and beloved superstars, one of the greatest pro wrestlers to ever live, one of the WWE's most reliable main events talents with world championships, WrestleMania moments, and multiple reinventions of his character. He's the only superstar to hold both the WWE Championship and the United States Championship simultaneously. A six-time WWE World Champion, a six-time WWE Raw Tag Team Champion, the first ever NXT Champion, an elite level athlete, performer, and an entertainer. He's a father and a husband, a revolutionary, a visionary, and an architect, a future Hall of Famer of the WWE. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Seth freaking Rollins.
Whoever wrote that up deserves a raise.
That's that you?
Yeah, if you did that yourself, then let's pay this man some more money.
So, Seth, when you hear all the six-time WWE champion, six-time Raw Tag Team champion, the first ever NXT champion, everything that you've accomplished, are you surprised that you've accomplished this at such a young age?
I mean, gosh, am I still young?
Yes.
I got a little time left at it. Yeah, but I mean, I've been wrestling for over 20 years now. So, you know, you look at everything that I've been able to do, my body work in the last 2 decades, and I guess I'm always sort of surprised. Mm-hmm. I'm always sort of like, when you read that stuff or I hear that stuff, it still doesn't feel like you're talking about me.
Right,
you know,
right.
I grew up in a small town, less than 1,000 people in the middle of nowhere. So like it feels like we're just reading, you know, the accolades of somebody else, some other Hall of Famer, you know? So it's really cool. It's really humbling, actually.
Well, let's toast that.
Let's toast to it, man.
Six-time champ, six-time tag team champ, small guy, came out of nowhere. Congratulations on all your success.
Best is yet to come.
As you mentioned, from a very, very small town, 1,000 people. Hell, that's even smaller than Glenville. We had 3,500, 1,000 people.
Less than, yeah. We didn't have a stoplight, you know.
Did y'all have a high school?
No. We had to like travel to the big city for the high school. You didn't have a middle school. All we had was an elementary school. That was it.
All right. So you go straight from elementary, and then you have to start busing to go to junior high and high school. So where are you from?
I grew up in Buffalo, Iowa.
Buffalo, Iowa.
Yeah, right outside of Davenport, Iowa,
Okay.
where I spend most of my time. It's in the Quad Cities. It's kind of like perched halfway between Chicago to the east and then Des Moines to the west. It's like right there on the Mississippi River.
Is it still? I mean, you've had an influx of people since. It's still not. It's still not 1,000 people, is it?
Oh, probably less, man. That's one of those towns people don't stay in. They try to get out of.
Yeah, as soon as you graduate high school and you can get going.
Get me gone. Yeah, absolutely.
Your upbringing. Your last name is Lopez after your stepfather. At what age did you change your last name?
My dad adopted me, I think, when I was 2. Yeah, so it would have been about, I mean, as long as I can remember, Lopez has been my last name, and he's been my dad. So I have no, like, I only recently became semi-acquainted with my biological father and his offspring. That's recent, like within the last 5 or 6 years via 23andMe test.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a surprise on that one. That was fun. But yeah, I mean, Lopez, that's my dad. His parents are my grandparents. You know, they've passed away now, but like those are my people. I don't know anything any different.
Did you know your biological father when you were younger? You said you became reacquainted with him in the last 5 or 6 years, but so did you not have? You didn't have any type of relationship. You didn't know anything about him.
No, I knew nothing. I knew only his name. That's it. That's all my mom told me. Obviously, she explained, you know, what happened and why she didn't stay in that relationship and all that stuff. stuff, but I never, he didn't have any interests, and I wasn't in need.
Right.
I had my dad, Ron Lopez, his name, he's a great role model for me. My grandpa, my uncles, I had great male role models in my life, so there was never that need to
try to find out, seek him
find
out.
it, yeah.
So what does your stepdad mean? Because you said and when you talk about him, you never said step. You said my dad.
Yeah.
Ron Lopez was a great guy, and his brothers, his uncles, they took me in as if I was a blood relative.
Yep.
His parents, my grandparents. You speaking parent, uncle, no step,
No.
dad, uncle, grandparents. What was it about him that made him so special in your eyes? Except the fact that he obviously married your mom and he took you in. But
Yeah.
there had to be something more to it.
I mean, he always treated me exactly like, I have an older brother. He has another son who's a few years older than me. He always treated us equal. There was never like any favoritism or anything like that. I never felt slighted in any way. But he was just like, his work ethic was legit, and he didn't have like a glamorous job or anything like that. He was a guy that kind of just worked in like foundries and steel plants and stuff like that, worked with his hands, did stuff like that. But he always made time to like coach my baseball team, be around, coach the soccer. He didn't know how to play soccer. He coached the soccer team, like he was a part of my life in that way. And so he was always there, always around. I got a sense between him and my mom of what it meant to, put other people before you, what it meant to work hard, what it meant to kind of just like take all of the things that life would throw at you and still put on like a happy face.
Right.
I didn't grow up, I wasn't lower class, but I certainly wasn't like a middle class, but we never knew the difference, you know? We had a happy family for the most part until my folks got divorced, but like everything was like, they were good salt of the earth people.
They gave you an example of what family should be or what it looked like.
Yeah, even after they split up, they got divorced when I was like 10 or 11.
Okay.
Even then, they were amicable, and it was like there was still love for me and for us as children. There was never like there was never an animus. Like, he was my stepdad, so he could have easily. Once the
separation happened, go on by his way and don't have any contact with you.
He could have easily done that, but he never did. He was always there. My mom remarried a couple times, and her second, or would have been her third husband, he was an incredible, stepfather for me as well. And so I was, even though I had kind of a broken upbringing, I always felt very fortunate that I had extremely positive male role models around me. I think that was like super beneficial for me and kind of becoming who I am as a person.
It seems to me that your Ron, who adopted you and took you in, and from that point on, you experienced love.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I've never felt anything but love from him in his own way. He's not one of those guys that's like physically affectionate or anything like that.
Right.
But he just, when you're around people and you feel
Absolutely.
love, there's just a different feeling, there's a different energy, and he's always been that way for me.
You said Lopez. He's Hispanic, Mexican descent.
Yeah.
So what was it about that? Because I mean, you grew up in a small town like Iowa. You're like, damn.
Yeah.
We got Hispanics in Iowa.
Yeah.
So what was it? Was it different? Did you notice anything different, or you just, this is my dad, this is my family, and this is how we are?
No, I never noticed. And I think I didn't notice probably till I got older and thought about it, until it
it really dawned on you.
Yeah, it dawned on me what was happening. We grew up in a small town in the middle of Iowa in the Midwest, where they were probably like the Lopez's were probably the only Hispanic people in the entire town. But I just, at the time when I was growing up, probably from at least age 2 to I would have been 14. It never even dawned on me that my parents were in like an interracial relationship.
Wow.
Like, it never even occurred to me to think that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't until that concept started to like permeate your psyche at an older age, when you kind of understand relationships and like that, like whatever the socio dynamics are between interracial relationships, especially in the Midwest and in small towns like that, where it's not always just kosher.
Right.
Then I was like, oh, wow, I bet my mom probably got a lot of crap for that.
Yes. Yes.
And when I talked to her about it later, she was like, oh yeah, of course, we always got some weird looks and some funny stuff. But I never noticed that, and I never received that treatment like in school from the other kids or anything like that. No, I never got any of that. And I don't know if it helped that, I'm a little like I'm Armenian. That's
Yeah.
like half my descent. So I have a little bit of like an olive tint in my skin, but I never experienced that. And like I said, it wasn't until later when I even realized that my folks probably got some of those little side eyes.
Especially in a small community.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned you had an older brother.
Yes.
Was that the only sibling that you had at the time?
For most of like I said, my mom's been married 3 times.
Okay.
So she's married to my dad, Ron, when I'm 2. Older brother, 3 years older than me. My best friend, like he's my brother. We're as close as blood, but thicker than blood, really,
Right.
because there's real bond, real love there. And then she divorces. She married second husband. He has a couple of kids, but I don't keep in contact with them hardly
Okay.
at all. And then third marriage, her final one, 1 daughter, so younger than me, maybe like 6 years younger than me, I think. And so she would be like a stepsister, I would consider.
But your father, your birth father,
Yes,
had other,
2 kids.
and you
Yeah.
just recently.
Yeah, I had done 23andMe like because I didn't know any of my family history, so I didn't know any of them. You get asked like all the time. You fill out a form. It's like, hey, what's the what's your family history on this side?
Yeah.
Or heart disease, something
Yeah,
like
yes,
that.
yes.
I don't know. I don't know anything.
Right.
So I was just like, you know what? I'll do one of these tests. I'll see like where I'm from and kind of get an idea of what my heritage is and stuff like that. So I put this thing in, get all the info, look at it, forget about it, set it aside. I got the app on my phone, but I never touch it, after I see all the cool info. Then like maybe 2 or 3 years later, I get a random message, a ping on the 23andMe. And you get like, if you have a 23andMe or an ancestry, you get like DNA matches like occasionally, but they're like 6th cousin.
Yeah.
Like, they're like way down. You just ignore them. You get the email. Yeah. A new match. 14th cousin, get rid of it, And this one came with a message. And I saw it, and I saw the last name. And it was from what would have been my half sister, and I clicked the message, and oh my! And she said, "Who is your dad?" And I said, "Oh no." So I told her, I explained her what I knew, and what I knew she did not know. So my biological father, our father, had never told her that he had possibly had another kid. Never told anybody. And so everybody in his family, didn't know. It was kind of a surprise. And when she went to try to, ask him about it, he was like, no way. She's like, it's right here. I found it's like it's science. You can't
Right.
back up on this. And
Is she older or younger than you?
She's younger than me.
She's younger than you.
Yeah, and then and she has a brother who's a little bit younger, I think a little bit younger than her as
Right.
well. And so they once he fessed up to it, and then now we're friends and we talk
Right.
and all that stuff, and it's
So
great.
your biological father never told that he had kids prior. So was he and your biological mother married or any time?
No. No,
okay,
they were
okay.
never married. She was, so we're from Iowa. She, in her 20s, moved to Chicago and was, dating and stuff like that. She ended up getting pregnant, and then she was like, I don't want to be here to raise this kid. I'd like to go back to Iowa.
Right.
And I don't know what the dynamics of their relationship were at that time, but he was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go
Do my own
do
thing.
my thing. And she was like, that's fine. Just, don't, I'll buzz you. She got in contact with him a couple times after I was born and was like, hey, would you like to see him? Would you like to be a part of his life? He's like, no. And I don't know if he even knew or believed that I was his because they weren't I don't know if they were in an exclusive relationship. So there's all sorts of, they're just young kids having a good time, and she got pregnant. She was happy to be a mom,
Right.
and he just wasn't ready to be a dad. And I never felt any sort of animus towards him for that. I just was like, I get that. And again, maybe if I had been in a situation where it didn't turn out as well as it did for me on the dad side of things, I might have had a different feeling about it, but I was fortunate
Ron
about
was
it.
everything that he wasn't.
Yeah, it was great. It worked out better for me in that way. I think if she would have stayed there and stayed with him, my life, we wouldn't even be sitting here having this conversation today. You know what I mean? That's the kind of butterfly effect that those type of things have. So it's really incredible that just one decision like that and changes the whole thing.
You mentioned that 5 or 6 years ago you met your father and trying to establish.
So I didn't meet him. I've never met him.
You've never met him?
I still haven't met him. I talked to him on the phone one time. We talked about maybe meeting up, and I told him when my schedule was kind of going to open up or when I would be in Chicago again, and he never followed up. So
Really?
I don't think he. I don't know. I don't know if it's.
You think he's embarrassed? You think he's embarrassed, Seth?
Oh, probably.
Because look at what, like you said, had the situation that you might have not have turned out, but you turned out the way you are. You're a superstar.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm sure he's probably told someone. He probably won't ever tell you, but you know my son is Seth Rollins, right?
Maybe.
And it's like, hold on. That's not your son. It is.
Maybe, and if that's all it is, and that's great. That's just life. Life works that way sometimes. So again, I got no ill will, but no, I never met him. Still haven't met him. One chat on the phone. He's got a granddaughter that he's never met. Stuff like that. So that's on him. That's.
You think he's embarrassed?
I mean, I assume so. I don't pretend to put myself in his shoes, okay. But I assume there's a lot of complex feelings that go on there that. He's probably in his, 60s now, so there's probably just a lot to process that he's like either doesn't want to process, doesn't know how to process.
Right.
And whether it's shame and guilt and, like expectation, there's just a lot that goes on there. So again, I have no like ill will towards him. I don't feel any type of way. I just, if he would want to, I would be available, but he's never made the strides.
What about the siblings that he had, your siblings that you have? Have you met them? Have you seen them in person?
Yes. And I have good relationships with them.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. They're great. They were, they don't have that sense because it wasn't their decision. You know what I'm saying? So they don't have any sort of feelings about it aside from like, oh, this is cool. When I met my sister for the first time, Allstate Arena is where we would do our shows in Chicago, and so we're all in the billboards in Chicago all the time. And so she would see my face and have no clue when she first saw the match. And Colby Lopez pops up, which is my government name. She puts it into the Google machine, of course, Colby Lopez, and this Seth Rollins guy pops up, and she's like, "What is this? Who is this? What's going on? Is
this an alias? Are you hiding from somebody?
What's going on? Let me try this again. This is not the same person. Why does it keep popping up this?" And then that's when she decided to send me the message. So yeah, it's a small world in that way.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine, making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Pick, it always feels good to be right. Find your community on Prize Picks. With new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with friends, copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like, use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like yours truly and tail or fade our picks with just one click. New feature alert, Prize Picks has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings early before the game even finishes. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just download the Prize Pick app today. Use code Shannon to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Shannon to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh man, my favorite. How young we talking here?
Let's go back to what you probably can remember. Say from the ages of 5 to 14.
Oh, my favorite. The most formative memory that I have that probably shaped a good part of my life. Because you remember small things like you remember playing Legos with your brother. Like my brother and I used to have this big maple tree in the front yard, and we would just climb to the top of it and sit and talk about life. And I remember that being fun. But I think the biggest thing for me is when I was like 5 years old, maybe 4 or 5, my dad took me to my first professional wrestling show. I was already on the periphery of fandom because my grandpa, my uncle, and my dad all kind of were into it enough. And this is, we're talking early 90s, so Hulkamania is really big at the time. And they take me to my first pro wrestling show, and I just was blown away by what I was seeing. To me, it was like just seeing real life superheroes. You see Superman on your TV, or you see Spider-Man in a comic book, but you can't go to a place and watch them fight the bad guys. I saw it. I saw, Hulk Hogan fight the bad guy. I saw the Legion of Doom fight the bad guys. So to me, that changed my life. I was so fascinated by that world and that performance that I was hooked from then on. So that's a big one for me, I would say.
Did you play any sports growing up?
I did.
You played baseball. I remember you said
baseball,
you played
basketball, football, soccer was Soccer, I was terrible at soccer. I don't know what we were doing. I mean, I played when I was young. A bunch of kids just like herding cats with a ball. You know what I mean? That was it. But yeah, I played basketball probably till I was about 14, football, 13, 14, baseball. At some point, I realized that the baseball could hit me in the face. And I was like, I don't want that.
You became scared of it.
Yeah. I'm in the batter's box and I'm like, I don't know about this. Maybe, it became one of those.
Yeah.
And the minute I did that, I was like, oh, I got to get out. I'm done with that, yeah.
So what position did you play in football?
Football, I bounced around a little bit. Played a little quarterback, a little halfback, a little wide receiver. Defense, I'm trying to think. I played linebacker a little bit. Played safety a little bit. So, yeah, it was a mishmash. I didn't have one. You
didn't have one particular position. So your dad took you and your uncles took you to this match. You became hooked. So who was your favorite? What wrestler did you idolize when you was growing up?
Idolize? Well, my first favorite wrestler was Hulk Hogan. He was the big guy.
He was the biggest.
He was the biggest star in the 80s and the early 90s. He's in movies. He's in pop culture.
Yep.
He's propped up.
He had all the paraphernalia. He had the doll. He had the whole dog. He had everything,
he had
man.
It all. And so I wouldn't know that I idolized him because there was never I never thought I could be Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
The first guys that I really idolized were smaller because I never felt like I was going to be the big guy.
Right.
So, my favorite wrestler of all time was Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Shawn Michaels is about 6 foot. He's about 200 pounds. Bret the Hitman Hart. They were the two guys, the first two guys that I watched on WWE. They were different. They were smaller. They were faster. They had a different style.
They were athletic.
But they were still stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, wait a minute. You don't have to be Hulk Hogan. You don't have to be the Ultimate Warrior, the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom to be stars. You can be a star and do it that way. And I'm like, well, I might be able to do that.
Right.
So they were the first ones that I really like. Okay, all right, I do see what they're doing. Let me see if I can try this out.
And so that's when you like, okay, all these other things, basketball, football, baseball, they're fine. But they're not calling me like wrestling is.
Yeah, so I was about 13. I remember it distinctly. I'm 13, maybe going on 14, probably 14. And it's the summer before high school. So I just got out of 8th grade. And I remember sitting at my dinner table with my parents. And now I'm 14, so I'm full of angst, full of piss and vinegar, full of just like anti-established, rebellious energy. Yeah. I'm sitting at my table, and I remember telling, my parents with just this visceral anger of over nothing, of course, in my heart, I'm not playing basketball. I want to be a professional wrestler. And they were, you could see, the
look at you.
They were like, I don't like this. They were sad. There was a broken heart, because I was pretty good at basketball, and it was a thing that I did. And, it's just a normal pathway through high school. You play a sport, you go to class, you try to get into college. And I was like, no, I'm going to be a professional wrestler. And at this time, I'm wrestling in my backyard with my brother and our friends, and we're putting on matches, and we're starting to do shows, and we're starting to emulate what we see on TV. And it's about the age of the internet, kind of kicking off in 2000, so that you can get online and kind of see other people doing the same thing. And backyard wrestling as a whole is becoming this thing for the first time. And I was in. I'm like, we started handing out flyers at my school to get kids to come and watch us jump on our trampoline through these makeshift tables and stuff like that. And I got the performance bug of I really like this.
Right.
I want to see how I can do it. So I locked in. I'm like, what do I got to do? I got to get jacked. Okay, give me a weight set. Give me a gym membership. Okay, I got to learn how to public speak. So let's take public speaking classes in high school. Let's take acting classes. What do I got to do? Let's lock in. I start growing my hair out like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. They had the long hair. I Jeff Hardy. These are my guys. I'm going to do that. So that was it. 14, and then I think my folks thought it was a phase. They're like, oh yeah,
he'll grow out of it.
He'll grow out of it. Yeah, and then I just never grew out of it, man.
And so you jump full speed. You wrestled Sting in his last
Stinger.
Sting, yeah.
Yes, I was very fortunate to get in the ring with Stinger in his last WWF match. Didn't go well for him, unfortunately. But yeah, he was a legend that I was very, very lucky to be in the ring with.
Who were you surprised? Do you remember your first match?
First match I ever had?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Not really, because I did some stuff before I was like trained properly to wrestle. Like in 16, 17, I'm doing like, I'll pay $20 to do a camp at a local show. And then, I get tossed in like a battle royal or something like that. I'm 17 and we have a ring and we're putting on this show, but I'm not trained. So it's hard for me to like, what was my first match?
Right.
It's hard for me to really pin it down.
Because you was on the independent wrestling scene for a minute, right?
About 6 years before I got signed to WWE. Yeah.
Really?
So from like maybe 7 years, from like 17 to 24. Yeah, I signed with WWE at 24, I think.
Did you ever get frustrated because you're sleeping in your car and you're not making a whole lot of money? Did you ever become frustrated like, man, this just ain't working out?
Yes, I think there's tons of frustration that goes along with it because it is if you're not making any money at it, you're making no money. You're often losing money.
Yes.
And it's painful. And, sometimes you're wrestling in front of I would wrestle in front of less than 10 people sometimes.
What?
Yeah. I mean, it was, a
lot of local YMCA high school gyms, huh?
High school gyms. I wrestled in barns. I wrestled in UAW halls. I wrestled anywhere we could set up a ring and have shows. Like I would drive my car and I would go do it. And it was very frustrating, but it also I loved it. I just loved it. I loved going to a show, getting in a car with my people, driving hours to a show, like getting snacks on the way, talking about the business on the way there, doing the match, taping it on your video recorder thing.
Your
camcorder, whatever. I love taking it, afterwards, driving back, watching the match, talking about it, talking about the show, feeling like we were trying to get better, feeling like we were doing something, feeling like we were trying to change something. I don't know. I just loved that process. And so even though there was a lot of suffering involved, at some point I just embraced that. I'm willing to suffer more than anybody. I don't care. I love it and I will suffer until good things happen. And, it's not like a linear straight up shot. It's ups and downs. Peaks and valleys. But I had enough peaks that it was if you play golf occasionally, right? I'm terrible at golf. Golf's extremely hard. You got to do it often. But you'll hit one shot.
And you're like, this is the reason why.
And I'm in. And I'm like, if I can just do that every time. Right. And, that's how golfers get better. They just do it a million times. And eventually every shot is that one shot that you hit on hole 7, So that's how it was with wrestling. Eventually I just started to get a little bit better. And it's a slow process. You don't even notice it. And then by the time, you got enough peaks that you get that itch to keep doing more. I had to go to college, had to work part-time jobs while I was doing it. My mom wouldn't let me live in the house and be a wrestler and not go to school. So I had to go to school. And then eventually I was like, hey, Mom, I think I'm doing really good. But I can really do something here if you just let me drop out of the school. I'm not getting anything done in college. I can do something.
My mind is elsewhere, but I'm there because of you.
Because of you. I'll do anything for you. Whatever you need, I'll do it. But I'm telling you, I think there's something here. And she gave me the go-ahead. And, the rest is history from there.
The hosts were always to get called by the WWE. When they finally call, what's going through your mind? Are you like, man, this is a prank? Are you extremely excited? Or you thought your buddy was playing a joke on you? Because how did they even get my number? How did they know to get in contact with me?
No, I courted them a little bit. So I met a guy on the independents. His name is Joey Mercury. He's a great mentor of mine, and he wrestled for WWE for many years, and he had gotten fired from the company. And I had met him, and the first time we ever met, he's like, New York. We called WWE New York because that's the territory it used to be. He's like, New York. You ever talk to anybody in New York? I said, no, I wouldn't even know how. He's like, let me get in touch with somebody for you. I think I still got people there that might like me. So he's like, you got a tape or anything? You can, a video, something, an email you can send. And I'm like, I don't know. At the time, I'm working for a company called Ring of Honor, which was the top independent company at the time. Guy by the name of Dave Lagana put together basically an email of here's video of, what he can do. Joey got me the contact. I sent it out. At the time, my contract with Ring of Honor was coming up. I was doing 3 years with them, I think. My contract was coming up. and I was ready to take the next step. WWE they weren't coming for guys like me at the time. Still, this was 2009, 2010, probably. They were still looking for big dudes. They wanted you, They wanted someone this size, right? They wanted 6'5", 250. They'll teach you how to do the wrestling.
Right.
I was really good at the wrestling, but I was never going to look like that. So they were having a hard time recruiting guys like me. Dave helped me out. Joey put in a word for me. I was trying to shop myself to some of the other smaller companies at the time, and I wasn't getting any callback from WWE. Nobody was picking up. Nobody was answering emails. So I had a deal on the table for another company with TNA. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to sign this deal. I just don't know if I want to sign this deal. Like, WWE is where I want to be. So I made one final call, and I said, hey, the guys, I said, hey, the talent relations guy said, hey, look, I'm going to sign this deal with TNA if I don't hear back from you. So, it's like Sunday night. I'm like, I'm going to sign it in the morning. And 15 minutes later, he calls me back. Hey, kid, let me talk to my people. So, but I'm like, oh. I
should have said this earlier.
He didn't tell me nothing yet. He didn't give me any indication. He said, we'll call you back in the morning. And I'm like, oh God. So now I'm like sitting on it, I'm waiting. I couldn't sleep that night. I was just like, come on. Because it could have just been easy. Come back and he'd just say, nah, never mind, you know? So nothing was on the table. And then when he called back, he's like, we're going to give you an opportunity. Dude, I remember where I was standing. I remember where I was looking. I remember everything. I didn't give it. Damn how much the money was for. I didn't care. I was like, that's all I ever wanted was an opportunity. This is the biggest wrestling company in the world. This is my dream. This is all I ever wanted. I'm like, I do not even care. Like, I turned down probably at least triple the money to go to the other place. To I'm like, this is where I can make my way.
And you became a champion. You became the WWE champion, who was born after WrestleMania 1 actually occurred.
Yes.
So it took you a while to get there, but once you got there, you had a meteoric rise.
Yeah, once we got to WWE, once I got on the main roster, they signed me, they sent me down to Tampa, Florida, which was their training facility at the time. It's now moved to Orlando. It's just pre-NXT. NXT is like it's a great minor league facility now, with its own brand and its own production. They did not have that when I went there. I'm in Tampa in a warehouse for 2 years, basically like in a holding cell, and waiting. We finally got the call up. I don't think that my bosses knew exactly what they were getting themselves into when they gave us the opportunity. Myself, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. Myself and Dean Ambrose, especially Jon Moxley now. We had a little bit of a following because of what we'd done on the independents. John was there as well. And when we burst onto the scene, social media exploded. Oh, they're finally here, these guys, but we've heard they've been signed for a long time. So this is the beginning of social media playing a role in what happens from an audience perspective on WWE. And that response, they gave us the ball and they kept giving us the ball because we kept scoring touchdowns. That's the thing, man. If you get the ball and you make plays, they're gonna call your number more. And that was the thing. I'm like, just give me the damn ball. That's all I ever wanted. Just give me the ball. I'm telling you, we can make this happen. Myself and John, we were both of that. Roman was a little bit greener. He didn't have the experience, so he was nice and along for the ride. Myself and John, we were ready, and we knew we were ready. And when the time came, we took that ball and we ran with it, and we changed everything.
What would you say was the hardest part of your journey, and what would you say to other young wrestlers that's trying to get in this space that seemingly had a hard time like you did in the beginning and thinking about giving up? What was the hardest part of this journey?
Well, lucky for you, I own my own wrestling school, which I've had for 11 or 12 years.
Really?
Yes. Back in Davenport, Iowa, I started a wrestling school called the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. Still operates to this day. I'm not there as much as I used to be, but it still operates and it's functional and I'm a part of it and it's great. And we have a lot of awesome people who've come through there. But I get this question all the time because as a young athlete or performer, it's hard. It is a hard business, and not everybody's going to make it. I think the one thing that I say is, well, there's really two things. One, you have to understand that it is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Okay.
You really have to try to create a scope of time in your brain. It is just going to take a long time. But that process, you have to learn to enjoy that process. It's awesome. I want you to shoot for the moon. I want you to set goals as high as you can. I want you to think about and dream about wrestling at WrestleMania in the main event and winning every world title that there is. But understand that it takes little steps to get there, and it is going to be hard sometimes, but that difficulty is what makes it worth it. And that journey, and as cliche as it sounds, I'm telling you, when you're done with it 20 years later, the journey will be the thing that you remember. It's not the moments, it's not the milestones, it's not the accolades, it's not all that stuff that you read off at the beginning of this interview. It's the process, it's the people you met along the way, and it's the process of getting there that you will look back on fondly.
Because what I read off, none of that mentioned all the no's, the 7 years, the waiting,
Yeah.
the not getting an opportunity wrestling in YMCA's and high school gyms and barns. None of that's there.
No.
But people only see that.
Yep.
The people only see that. And so they like, oh, it was easy. It was easy for them to, it was easy for him. I mean, so forth and so on. But they don't realize, like every professional athlete or whoever, or Jeff Bezos or whomever, you see it's a process to get there.
It's a slog, yeah. I mean, it is, especially the route I came from. Now, everybody's path to success or to the top is their own. And sure, there are absolutely 100% people out there who didn't go through that process.
Yes.
And they have been handed opportunities for whatever reason. That happens, for sure. But that's not for you.
That's not your journey,
That's
though.
not your journey, man. And so you can't have that. You can't look at it as oh, it's unfair. You just have to focus on yourself. What's your journey? How are you going to take the next step to be better than you were the day before?
When you finally got an opportunity to meet Vince McMahon, what did Vince say to you?
Gosh, I don't remember. I wish I could remember the first time I met Vince. So I probably met him in passing and like shook his hand, and he said, nothing happened, whatever. When I was in and around WWE doing like some backstage work when I was signed to the developmental. When we first got called up, in the debut, it's Survivor Series, it's 2012, and we're in these stupid turtlenecks, these cargo pants, and we are called the Shield. And they literally tried to give us riot gear, like Shield riot gear, like these giant plexiglass shields that said Shield on them. And these clubs, like these like batons, that you police police beat people with, and like we got rid of the plexiglass pretty quickly, but we're rehearsing during the day, and we have these clubs, and like I remember we're running through the crowd because we're ambushing the show. We're not making entrance. We're running through the crowd. So we're out in the back. It's Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're in the back, and like Vince is on the ring, by the ring, and he's like running the rehearsals at the time. And he sees us with these clubs because the camera's there and he's watching the monitor. And he's like, you could just hear his deep voice like echo through the empty arena. He's like, "What? You need clubs to beat him up? Are you really that tough?" And we're all just like, dump the club. All right, let's go. So that was like my first introduction to Vinceisms.
But you had to move, what was the curb stomp? That Vince
Stomp, yeah.
Vince banned it.
He banned it. I win literally the day after I won my first world title at WrestleMania. We're here in San Francisco. It was at Levi's Stadium. I win it. I win the title, get on a jet, fly to New York. I do the Today Show, get back on the jet, fly back over here to San Jose for Raw. This is all on the same day. And I get back to San Jose at the Shark Tank, and he then Vince wants to see us. So I go in the office. He's like, sitting there, and he does this thing. He's like, so, the stomp. I think we're gonna move in a different direction. We're find something else, equally as good and equally as devastating. But I think we're gonna go in a different direction. Yeah, he banned it. I don't know what somebody.
You're like, damn, Vince, I just did this.
I've been doing it for years.
Right.
This is what I think happened, and I don't have confirmation. He watched the Today Show piece. He sees the stomp. He sees people referring it to the curb stomp. Somebody in his inner circle said, Vince, I don't know about that move. I think it might be a little too dangerous. I might be, there might be a connotation to it. And like, I don't know, and I'm like, brother, we've been doing it for years.
Right.
It's pro wrestling. None of it is, you can call it something else if you want. I didn't come up with the name. You came up with the name. You call it the stomp, call it whatever. So yeah, he like took it away with no explanation at the time. Just, we're not going to do it. I'm like, okay. And then left me with no finish, his world champion with no finishing move it took me like a couple months before I decided to just steal Triple H's pedigree because he was off. He was like done at the time, like kind of not wrestling anymore. So I was like, all right, I'll take it. I was his protege anyway, so it made sense.
So what did Vince say when you started using Triple H's move?
Well, I tried to use a couple different things, and like none of them really took, and like I was not afraid, but I was like, if I ask Triple H if I can use the pedigree, I feel like he's going to say no. He's the only person who'd ever use it.
Right.
So I was like, here's what I'll do. I'll ask Vince about it. And then I know Vince will say yes, just to spite Triple H. And Triple H can't say nothing about it. It was a good idea, though. Anyway, I was a bad guy. Hunter was my mentor. I was his protege. He wasn't wrestling. I was like, it's a good way to carry on the legacy of the move. So Vince okayed it. Whether he did it because he liked it or just to take a shot at his son-in-law, I don't know. But either way, it worked. One
of your most iconic moments in the WWE is that when you had to turn your back on your team, your friends, the Shield.
Yeah.
You like, damn, Vince.
That was painful.
If I must, I must.
It was hard. But the hard thing on it is, they had pitched the story to break up the Shield a few months earlier. We were like, no, man, we're not ready. We're not ready for that. Like, we'd been bad guys. The crowd was really starting to get behind us. We wanted to be good guys. We wanted a longer run. Like, we felt like we had a lot more in the tank. Mm-hmm. And so we have a match with the Wyatt family in Elimination Chamber in February. Then we go to WrestleMania. We're full good guys at that point. We do 2 6-man tags with Evolution right after that. Like, we're awesome. We're on cloud 9. We're feeling great about things, the three of us. We show up to Raw the day after, and they knew that if they gave us heads up, we would say no, and we would find a way to try to fight out of the breakup. So they brought us into the office, and they just said, here's what we're going to do tonight. It was also in Indianapolis, Indiana, by the way. A lot of Shield history in that town. And they're like, this is what we're going to do, and Seth is going to be the one to pull the trigger. And I remember, like, in the room, just the silence. And when we walked out of the room, it was like, what do we do? Like, can we stop this? Like, are we doing the right thing? And, there was a lot of tension there. And it was mostly, we had found our comfort zone as a trio, and we were really relying on each other, and we enjoyed the process, and we enjoyed performing together, and we did feel like we had more legs. But at the end of the day, it was one of the most shocking betrayals and shocking moments in the history of our company and our industry. And what it set in motion over the last 10 years, 11, 12 years almost now, it has been a complete paradigm shift in our industry. You look at myself, Roman, and John Moxley, we're at the very tippy top. And if we had stayed together, it just wouldn't be possible.
Nope.
So you needed that break. I was super fortunate that I was the one to be the catalyst for that. I still feel the repercussions for that today. Like, people still ask me to this day, 12 years later, why did you break up the Shield? These are grown people, because they watched it when they were teenagers.
Absolutely.
You are grown. You know this stuff ain't real. Come on now. That hurts you that bad?
Yeah.
God.
Who determines whether you're a good guy or a heel?
Ultimately, the audience. Ultimately, the audience does. I think, there's suggestions about what feels good. What would, do we need a baby face here? Do we need a heel here? The creative team, we'd like you to do this. We'd like you to do that. And you put forth your best effort. Ultimately, the audience really decides if you're going to be cheered or booed, and that's it. And then you gotta roll with that punch.
Right.
If you swim upstream, it only works so well. Eventually it backfires. And so I think you saw that. Roman Reigns is a really great example of that. Roman Reigns is a guy that they wanted to be a babyface, the top babyface for a long, long time. And they were like, we're going to do this. I'm going to force this to happen. And it never took the way it needed to. When Roman Reigns turns heel, 2020, 2021, changed everything for him. He became more comfortable. He became, more honest version of his character and of his self. He was allowed to become the star that I think everybody wanted him to be as a babyface. And now, because he was so excellent at his role as a heel, they were able to, now he's the biggest babyface and biggest star, arguably, in our company and in our industry. And so the audience did that. They forced that by rejecting for so long. And so, Bryan Danielson is another great example. Daniel Bryan, WWE. He was a guy that the fans, sometimes people just catch fire. My wife, Becky Lynch, they tried to force her into a role as a heel, not reading the room. This is SummerSlam, I want to say 2018 maybe, and she slaps the bejesus out of Charlotte Flair in the middle of the ring, and everybody in the back thought she was going to be a heel. But if you would have been paying any attention to what was happening, you knew that when she slapped Charlotte, that place, it was Brooklyn, was going to go nuts, and they did, and it catapulted her. The audience took her into the biggest female babyface that's ever lived in this company.
Is it harder to go heel babyface or babyface heel?
I don't know that if you do the switch at the right time, neither one is difficult.
Okay.
It is harder to maintain being a babyface long term, I find. I just think it's easier to be a heel. It's people naturally.
People won't like rooting against somebody.
They just naturally want to hate, The world's just full of haters, They naturally want to complain about something. So it's just easier. And you have more leeway. You can't as a good guy, you have to be locked in, right? Any little misstep, you have a bad promo, you have a bad match. People can start to turn on you easily. When you're a heel, you have so much freedom. It's hard for you to screw up, because you screw up and they laugh at you, and then you get mad that they laugh at you, and then they get mad, then they hate you more,
right?
So there's more of an antagonistic relationship with a heel, and I think that's just easier to get done. At least in a modern wrestling setting. It might have been easier back in the day, when everybody didn't know everything.
Right.
But yeah, I find it easier to be a heel. But if you hit the transition point right, when the audience is ready to make the switch, then I think it's in that immediate point after the turn. Either way, kind of the same.
Whether you're a heel or a babyface, do you need a signature move?
Yes, very important. Very important. Because your audience gets they get clued into it. That's one of the things about our business is the audience having a pivotal role in the storytelling. When they feel like they're a part of what's happening, that's when it's the best. When they're not just voyeurs, they're actually in.
Yeah.
They're in some way. So that participation, whether it's a catchphrase or a signature move or a setup, you think of The Rock and all of his million. Finally, The Rock has, and the crowd gets to
Can
go
you
along
smell
with
where
it.
The Rock is cooking?
Yeah, and I do my I am a visionary. I am a Seth. And they do the freaking Rollins, or they sing the song. And you have some stuff like Cena where he's able to do his whole comeback and you can't see me, and now they know it's the end, So it's just those participation things, and a finisher having a great signature and finishing move is something they can look forward to as the match progresses.
You mentioned that the WWE for the longest time, they wanted big. I mean, you had Hulk Hogan, you had Andre the Giant, you had these massive men.
Yeah.
You Triple H, and you had Undertaker, and you had these guys. You wrestled Big Show, Kane. You wrestled some of the big, and you've also wrestled Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
So when you're dealing with a guy like the Big Show, he has to help you get him up off the ground.
I'm not getting Big Show up off the ground.
There has to be some jump to it, but you still got to be, strong enough to hold a man that size up and put it down on his back.
Yeah.
So when you're rehearsing, when you're rehearsing and you're dealing with a man, 280, 300 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, like, bro, we gotta hit this thing because both of us could end up hurt.
yeah. But it's one of those things where Big Show's an extreme example. When we wrestled with Big Show, he was 450 pounds.
Right.
Strong as an ox. Mark Henry the same. Mark Henry, literally the strongest human that's ever lived. You know what I mean? In his prime, and even in his not prime, he could just crush your bones with his hands. Like, you just hope those people like you enough to cooperate with you. Because if they don't, it's over. You know what I mean?
I had Ric Flair on, and he was like, if Andre didn't want you to do something, no matter what you rehearsed, it wasn't going to get done. It wasn't going to get done.
Yeah, it's just not going to have. Same. Show is the same way. You just hope that you catch them on a good day. I don't know what to tell you. Otherwise, they're the world champion. That's it. That's the end.
With all these matches, you have ladder matches, table, chairs, all that. I mean, I understand there's a certain choreography to it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that stuff hurt.
Very much.
Charlotte Flair, we had Charlotte Flair on earlier in September, and she was talking about that she tore an ACL, and she still finished. She had to wrestle another 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably an exaggeration on her behalf, but she did tear an ACL and have to finish her match, yeah.
But when you hurt something, or you tear an abductor, or you pull a hamstring or something like that, and the match is scheduled, one fall for a 15-minute time limit. It used to say that. I don't know how much the time limits are now, but in a situation like that, when you know something is going on and you have to finish the match, that's got to be difficult, though.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, gosh, I'm trying to kind of like liken it to a football injury, but there's plays. So
no, you get injured, you coming out the field.
Yeah.
Ain't no finishing the game. It could be the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter,
matter,
2 minutes left.
Yeah,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's a play and you're gone. Yeah, it's done. It stops. That's the thing is with us, when we get hurt, like, there's like a self-evaluation process that happens, and because NFL plays 7 seconds or something like that. Boom, it's like, oh, that's it. Now I'm evaluating. I'm gonna go to the sideline and evaluate. But we have to evaluate kind of in real time. Like, we have to. It's not a sprint like that. It's a bit longer. So like, if something happens, my shoulder is a great example of that. So I'm wrestling Cody Rhodes in the main event of a pay-per-view in Perth, Australia in October. I do this move that I've never really done where I dive from one side of the ring to the other and give Cody a headbutt, and I land funky. So I land like on my elbow, kind of off to the side, pushes my shoulder up, and it hurt. But I didn't know how bad it was hurt in the moment. So I hit him, I cover, he kicks out, I'm laying there, and then I just run my self-check. While the audience is, kind of, they're going through the replays and everything. We're moving on to the next thing, but you got to give the audience time to digest. So you're just sitting there like in the process, and I go, okay, I hurt my shoulder. How bad did I hurt my shoulder? Is there anything left in the match that I can't do, or that's going to be dangerous for me or dangerous for my opponent, or that I'm going to make look bad? Like, do I cut stuff out and we just go, let's get to the end of the match? What's the process here? And when it's like a kind of a ligament type injury like that, again, I didn't know what was wrong with it. I was like, okay, here's the things I can do. I've probably got about 10 to 15 more minutes of this match. I'll get through it, and then we'll figure out what happens. I'm not really going to know till I get a scan, and I'm not putting Cody in any danger. So I think I can get this done. Now, there's some times where it's like you'll get a concussion, or you'll see somebody get a concussion. Unfortunately, not in this position. You get a concussion, the ref sees that happen, and that's it. It's done. Like, they just call the match off. Young fella named Javon Evans just had this happen to him like maybe 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. He butted heads with his opponent. He got concussed. There was a little bit of like, hey, what's going on? They kind of let him walk through a little bit of the rest of the match while he was out there. And then it became apparent that he wasn't
himself.
Yeah, he wasn't himself. So that's it. Winner by ref stoppage. And that's it. And so it's just communication. Communicate to your referee, communicate to your opponent. You just try to figure out what the best course of action is. And again, when it's something like that, like a concussion where you can't self-diagnose really because you're rocked, we have people in
that
doctors. We have everybody watching to make sure, no, get him out of there. When it's something like that where you can't, my shoulder or like Charlotte's knee, or my knee as well, when you can't really see what's happening, you just have to rely on the talent to try to figure out what's best for the situation.
In a situation where like you broke John Cena's nose or something, you guys are wrestling and It's an accident, but things happen.
Yeah.
Who was that said? I think they said it's called keeping receipts. When you do something, when you do something to somebody that goes a little
Sure.
further than it should have been.
Yeah. Those are receipts, but receipts are generally for when things might be a little on purpose. The John thing was a complete accident.
Okay.
If I mean, look, John's got ham hands. He's punched so many people in the side of the head. Like it's he understands. Sometimes things happen. We say it's not ballet, which no discredit to ballet. Ballet is hard. I couldn't do it. But yeah, it's not ballet. Like it's a physical interaction. So things happen, and for the most part, there's not a lot of bad blood, but occasionally someone will get a stray shot in there where you're like, what was that all about?
Was that intentional or?
Yeah.
I think it was intentional. I'm gonna pay your ass back.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure on the field you have those
okay,
too.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because there's, it's again physical sport, and there's rules, and there's competitive edge, and you guys are. I mean, how many DBs or linebackers did you get into where you're like, okay, I ain't cool with that.
I know when there's a good clean tackle and you cheap shot at me.
Exactly.
Which in turn, I'm going to get your ass back in the course of a play,
Yes.
and I'm going to make it look like an actual play, but I guess what? I know.
I'm going to get mine.
I will get my lick back.
Yeah, yes.
But you have a great relationship with John.
I do. John is amazing.
And John is finishing up. He's done 48. You want to wrestle that long?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm 40 in a couple months, and I feel great. I'm in what I would consider the prime of my career, where the physical hasn't declined and the mental is as sharp as it's ever been.
Right.
And so I would, as long as I can continue to contribute in a way that's positive for our fan base and for our younger talent, as long as I can continue to be make the product better, then I think I would like to contribute, and my body cooperates. Right. I would like to continue to do it.
Who's your Mount Rushmore WWE wrestlers?
Mount Rushmore? Oh, man. That's so hard because you get into this trap of in-ring talent, guys who are just great wrestlers, and then you get into, money, right? Who drew the most money. So, if you want to talk all-time draws, you got to start with Hogan. You probably got to put San Martino on there, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and likely The Rock.
Yeah.
That's probably your top four.
Okay.
If you want to go in-ring, all-time, you're looking at Shawn Michaels. You're looking at Eddie Guerrero. You're looking at maybe, man. After that, it gets real hard because, Dynamite Kid was really good, but he was kind of a jerk. Bret Hart was really great.
Flair definitely had Hart and Shawn Michaels in his top.
And you could put Rick in there as well. Rick is
nobody could talk like Flair.
No. Flair was special. Dusty was a special.
Oh,
promo,
yeah.
But Dusty's in-ring work wasn't he wasn't blowing anybody out of the water. Bryan Danielson would be up there, I think. I'd like to be in the conversation at some point. I think AJ Styles, who also just recently retired, is someone who's one of the greatest of all time in the ring. So it's a fun discussion, but it's hard to narrow it down.
Right. You call that The Rock. You want Rock to come back one last time and you get your shot at Rock?
Maybe, man. I don't know. I don't know. I had such a fun time wressling DJ at WrestleMania a couple of years ago in the tag match. A singles match would be a lot of fun with him if he'd be willing to do it. But yeah, the tag match was a blast, and it was really cool to be out there in the main event of WrestleMania with The Rock. I mean, that's beyond bucket list. You mentioned Sting earlier. There's some guys that when I was growing up watching, you just don't think you're ever going to get the opportunity to be in the ring with them because you think they're going to be retired by the time you're there. Sting's one of them. I got to do promos with Jake the Snake and Roddy Piper. Got to be in the main event of WrestleMania with The Rock. I mean, this is bonkers stuff. So
I mean, Roddy Piper, you grew up watching, and Sting and all those guys you grew up watching. Lex Luger.
And crazy, dude. It's crazy that I get the opportunity to be in the ring with these guys, whether it's a promo or a match, learn from Dusty Rhodes, anything like that. It's really, for me as a kid growing up in Iowa, to be able to live those dreams and meet your heroes in those ways, it's really something special.
You and CM Punk, y'all made up?
No. I wouldn't say so.
You wouldn't say so?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, there's obviously some sort of working relationship. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to go out there and have matches. But there's just so much, it's so complex. I think maybe once we're both away from the business or retired or have hung it up, there might be an opportunity for reconciliation there. It's just so hard for me to separate the CM Punk that there is now from the CM Punk that was a really rotten friend to me 10 years ago. And so it's just those wounds take time to heal, I think. Whether or not he cares to make the effort to do that, and I care if he makes the effort to do that, I don't know. I don't know if either of us have the time for it at the moment.
Have the company pull you in and say, look, guys, I understand there's some things going on between you two, but we run a business here. Y'all figure that ish out and keep it moving.
No, there was never a time where the two of us were sat down and had a conversation like that. There were conversations had before he came back about whether or not it's something that I could be okay with. And, he's back. So I always feel like if there's business to be done, that's bigger than me. That's bigger than my grievances. So, at the end of the day, it's not my sandbox. I don't make those decisions. I think WWE would be just fine without CM Punk. But I do think there's a large portion of our fan base that is very happy that he is back.
So this happened before. This doesn't have anything to do with wrestling. This had to do with something outside of the ring.
We know each other through wrestling. So when he's with WWE and I knew him before that. I knew him when I first started wrestling because he's from Chicago. So I would go watch him on independent shows.
Okay.
I wanted to be trained by him when he ran a school back in 2004. Didn't have the money to do it because it was out in Philadelphia and I couldn't move out there. Didn't have any cash. So, but I stayed in touch. I'd go watch him on shows. I was a fan of his. He knew my upbringing. He saw, that we were kind of cut from the same cloth. And he was somewhat of a mentor to me when we got to WWE. And he also vouched for myself and Jon Moxley to be brought up from developmental to the main roster. So everything was good. He let me sleep on his couch. He let me ride his bus occasionally from time to time. He's a really good guy. And I would have done anything for him. And then he leaves the company and basically just completely ghosted. Like, just stopped being a friend. And I reached out to him multiple times to try to talk to him. And there was never any animosity between us. There was never like a falling out between the two of us. He just didn't like the fact that I stayed working for the company. And
hold on. Just because you leave, hold on. I want to eat. I like my living style now. And so because you had a falling out, I'm supposed to have a falling out too?
I wasn't the only person that he felt this way about. He lost a lot of friendships over this.
He get over it.
He did this on his own. And I think, that would have been one thing. But then on the back end of that, he spent many, many, many years taking kind of pot shots at what we were doing, what we were trying to do in WWE without him. And look, when he left a pretty significant void. He was at the top. He was a top star. And we were trying to rebuild, and we didn't have a lot to work with. We were trying to make the thing great. And he took a lot of, shots on podcasts and interviews at me and at people who were trying to do good things for the industry that he supposedly loved. And at that point, WWE was my home. Right. And so when you started to talk bad about my home and the people that I love and the people, I take that personally.
Right.
How am I not? And because we were friends and you didn't want to talk to me about anything when you left, how am I supposed to not take that personally?
Right.
So yeah, it was hard for me. And I did write you off and I did say, F you. Like, I ain't got time for that, man. I ain't got time for people like you. That negative energy trying to tear down everything we're trying to build here. I ain't got time for that. And so it really, really bothered me when he came back because I go, dude, you were gone. We did this. We did this without you. Not only without you, but in spite of you. We did this in spite of you. But you tried to make this not happen, and now you want to come back and reap the rewards.
Want to be a part of it. That you see we didn't crumble without you.
No, we didn't. We got better and we got bigger, and everything is better now. And it had nothing to do with you. And so that was really hard for me. And I like I said, it's just a lot to get over. And I think literally, if he would have just replied one time to one text or one call and said, hey, man, I'm not ready yet. Or, hey, man, it's not you. I just can't.
I'm going through something.
Just one time, anything would have changed the whole narrative for me.
You got an opportunity to wrestle Brock Lesnar. He recently came back.
Yes, sir.
What's it like wrestling the big guys? Because obviously, you know, running into a guy that's 2 Brock size or one of these big guys is different than running into somebody that's your size. Because, I mean, you guys are really athletic. I mean, people talk about, oh, that's okay, I get it, it's scripted. But all that falling and all that tumbling and from 10, 15 feet in the air, that takes a lot out of you, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, one of the fun things about pro wrestling is I love matchups.
Yeah.
You know, there are weight classes in UFC. There are weight classes in amateur wrestling. That's for a reason.
Yes.
That's for a reason. In our industry, if things go sideways, those big boys will crush you. There's nothing you can do about it. But I love the fact in wrestling, pro wrestling, that we don't have the weight classes, that you get to see wild matchups that you never get to see anywhere else. That Seth Rollins can go toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar, that he can find a way to figure out the beast, that he can use his strengths against Brock Lesnar's weaknesses. And you just don't get that anywhere else. You know, you don't get those kind of fairy tale matchups. Like, you don't get the Big Show or Kane or Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio, you know? There's no other world where that exists.
Right.
So it's this amazing, like, it's like a Marvel movie in real life where you get to see Thanos versus Thor, you know, or Thanos versus Spider-Man. You're like, oh, well, Thanos would crush him. But no, because Spider-Man's he's agile, webs, and he's got his way of figuring it out. And that's what's fun about wrestling is when you see matchups and you see the tail of the tape, you go, wow, how is this guy going to figure it out? Or, oh, man, this big boy is he's going to crush that little guy. Or, man, I can't wait to see these 2 giants collide. Or, man, I can't wait to see these 2 technical assassins just get it on. Or these 2, like, awesome strikers slug it out, you know? So you get all of that with wrestling that you just don't get in any other form of sport, especially.
How would you have liked to wrestle so Andre the Giant? Over 7 foot tall, 500 pounds.
That would have been great. It would have been great, man. It would have been. I mean, if
you lifted him, you getting him off his feet?
No, I mean, I'm pound for pound pretty strong, but those boys that's big, dude. That's a big boy. You know what I mean? I'm about to trip him. That's how I get him down. I'll run him till he's tired and then trip him.
What NFL player, NBA player, you think would be really good in WWE?
Oh man,
George Kittle, because he does
Kittle
a lot.
loves it.
So Kittle loves it.
He
Yes,
loves
absolutely.
it.
Kittle could definitely do it.
He loves it. You know, I think when he's retired, he's gonna come do at least one match.
You think so?
Oh, dude, once the Niners are like, all right, yeah, he's done with his playing career and he's waiting for that Hall of Fame. Like, dude, no doubt about it, he's gonna come do one. I look at the big dudes for sure. I look at like Myles Garrett's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
You know, just house and David Njoku again, like just these house dudes, man. Trying to think if there's anybody else off the top of my head that's really good. You know, I like DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
like DK's a freak athlete, you know,
yeah.
but he just got that build and he's got the look to him too. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of the reason the WWE likes to recruit, you know, college athletes.
Yes.
Because
because y'all got an NIL. I think the WWE got an NIL program now.
That's correct. We do have an NIL program.
Because I saw like a couple of women shot putters and things like that. That's gonna, once their career is over in collegiate, they're gonna go to the WWE.
Hopefully, take a crack at it. Yeah, man. I'll go down to Orlando and see if they can develop a passion for it.
So where are you on influencers or athletes coming into the WWE? We see Logan Paul did it, does it from occasionally. We see McAfee, P-Mac comes in. I Show Speed showed up in the ring a couple of times. So where are you on that? You okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I always feel like it's like, you know, I think it's, as a talent, it can be frustrating because you feel like, you know, if they're in a big spotlight, you know, you're like, they're taking somebody's spot, right? But at the end of the day, like you and I mean this nicely, and I would say this to my younger self too. I'm like, that was never your spot,
right?
You know? That you weren't going to do, it wasn't going to have the same impact. The reason we are able to bring these influencers or actors or whomever into the fray is to get new eyes on the product, and that those new eyes then they can find you, you know, otherwise they ain't going to find you, you know? So that's a tough lesson to learn, I think, as a young talent, because you want those opportunities. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. And, you know, not all of them are like Logan. Logan's a great example.
No, Logan can really do this.
He can do it, and he developed the passion for it quickly. I don't know that he thought, because he's pretty much full time now. He's every week he's there, and I don't know that when he first started, that he thought that was what it is. Here's this fun thing I get to do.
Right.
You know, he's all about making money, and he's getting paid, and he gets to do this fun thing, and it's kind of like fight adjacent. You know, this athletic, nature to it. I think he got addicted to it. I think he got addicted to the process. And like when you get hooked that way, it's really hard to let it go. And so there's not a lot of him. You know, most of them are like a Speed who gets in the Rumble and gets murked by Braun Breaker, and then he don't want to come back. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't blame you. Ronda Rousey. Obviously, she was in the UFC, but she tried it. Are you surprised she didn't stay longer?
No, not at all. It's hard. It's really hard. And what they were asking Ronda to do was very difficult. The schedule was crazy still at that time. This is pre-COVID. She comes in 2018, 17, something like that. And at first it's very easy. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but everything's curated for her. So everything's choreographed. And, you know, she has one match every 6 months or something like that. And it gets well rehearsed. And that's fun. And you get to do wrestling that way, and that can be really fun, and that can be addicting for people, but that's not really what wrestling is.
Nice.
Wrestling is a bit of a grind, and you have
a couple times a week, huh?
And it used to be 5 times a week, and you have to but that's how you learn your craft, you know. But if you're not used to that, and you're coming in, and it's not Ronda's fault, you're coming in, and that's how you're presented, and then you have to work backwards. You have to work, you know, opposite of the way I did, where I came up doing all that, and then I got to do the fun stuff at the end. That's easier, because now it's like, oh wow, wait, you tell me I only have to wrestle 50 times a year? Easy. I used to do 250, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So this is nothing. When you go the other way, that is a really hard thing to do. And she had other aspirations, you know? She wanted to be a mom. And it's really hard to be a mom and do our gig, especially when you want to have multiple kids. And, you know, kudos to her. She traveled with her oldest daughter a lot, the same way myself and my wife did with our daughter. And that's a really difficult thing to do. And if you're not having fun and you don't love it, it does not surprise me that she was like, I need to get away from this. And not to say she won't come back and give it another go, because she does have a talent for it, but it doesn't surprise me.
Bad Bunny, who performed at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Did you get that? You meet Bad Bunny?
Oh yeah, I've met Benito multiple times, because he has done a couple things for us from time to time. He had an absolutely wonderful match with Damian Priest in Puerto Rico a couple of years back. He loves wrestling. That's insane, by the way. I just want people to understand that. It was a street fight. It was like a no-holds-barred San Juan street fight. He's going through tables, getting beat with chairs, getting choke slammed. This is the biggest artist in the world. This would have been like Michael Jackson in 1986 at WrestleMania.
Right.
What are we talking about? That's crazy, dude. Could you imagine that? No. Like Paul McCartney ain't getting in the ring.
Exactly.
And, you know, that's crazy. So I have a ton of respect for Benito. He did not have to do that at all. What a stud. Like, I don't know any of his songs, but dude, what a savage.
You and Post Malone had some beef.
Posty, he got up in my grill, man. He's cheering for Punk and his wife over me and my wife. You can't be doing that. You know what I mean?
I mean,
come on now.
That wasn't rehearsed?
No, I didn't even know. I didn't even know he was there. I think he was there at Jelly Roll. They're in the crowd at WrestlePalooza, which again, Indianapolis, a lot of history there. And I just saw him, and he was like, he's booing or something like that. And I saw an opportunity, and I took it. I ain't gonna let him dunk on me and my wife like that. Come on now. Posty.
You good? Y'all good now though, right? You settled it. Damn, you don't let stuff go, Seth.
Oh.
You gotta let stuff go, Seth.
I'm in the conflict business, man. There's no money to be made if everybody's
What about conflict resolution?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's where we get paid, sir.
A fan attacked you. Why did you press charges?
That guy, from my understanding, he was catfished. by somebody pretending to be me, and he was not. He was. I don't want to, be rude, but he was not all there.
Right.
There was something off about him.
Okay.
It felt like, for me, it felt like the wrong thing to do to try to get him incarcerated in any way.
Right.
And he wasn't a person that had the means to pay for a big fine and go through a whole legal process. I asked the, judicial system that contacted me. I said, could we look into please getting this guy some help? Like he's not. I'm lucky that he didn't bring anything to be particularly violent with. That's something that's like very scary in situations like that. But thankfully we got on the other side of it, and you're able to look at it in its totality. Like, okay, what's the best course of action here? And it's probably to try to help this guy if we can do that. So I was not able to follow up. I don't know, but what I do know is that I chose not to press charges for that reason. It didn't seem to me that was going to solve the problem.
GOAT couples, we got you and Becky Lynch. We got Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth.
Okay.
Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Yep.
Matt Hardy and Lita. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
That's a good list. That's a good list right there. I mean, we're number one by a mile, but yeah. Shout out to Edge and Beth. They're both great in the ring, but they don't have the accolades that myself and my wife have.
Correct.
So, Stephanie and Hunter,
Did she just wrestle in WrestleMania?
Who's that?
Becky.
Becky? She was at the Rumble. She was
Yeah,
in the Royal
Rumble.
Rumble.
Yeah.
She was in the Royal Rumble last week. Yeah. In Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Did not
Liv,
win.
I think Liv
won.
Yeah.
Liv won the Royal Rumble. Yep. Becky has won the Rumble before.
Yeah.
First woman to main event WrestleMania.
Right.
And then myself. You read the accolades earlier. I mean, there's nobody on that list that's even close.
Is it easier to date a woman that's in the business with you? Because a guy told me one time, he said, you understand why movie stars date other movie stars? I said, nah. Why? I said, they like each other? No. He said, because the other know what it's like to live that life.
Yes. That part of it is very beneficial. It's something that's like, you don't want to mix business with pleasure, because if it doesn't end well, the risk.
They still wrestle. You got to see each other all the time.
Yeah, it's hard. And then they date somebody else. You're dating somebody else. It's not fun. Like, that's just not a fun thing. So you do try to avoid it. But when you find somebody, and Becky and I were friends for years before we started dating, when you find somebody who gets it and understands what you're doing, and you go through the same things, it's so much easier. And because our business and our industry is so strange and so weird, like, just asking regular people who do regular jobs to understand it can be a tall task,
especially when you're starting out, because you're saying you're wrestling 3 to 5 times a week, so you're gone. So basically 45 47 weeks out of the year you're on the road.
We would be 300 days a year for sure. Wow. Easy with the travel and the media.
Yeah,
I'd wrestle, like, my craziest years, I would wrestle probably close to 215 matches a year. And that's not including the travel days. Like, we would leave Friday morning from my little town in Iowa. I'd go and I'd do non-televised events Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would do Monday TV Raw, which was live. Then we would tape SmackDown at the time on Tuesday. And then I would fly home Wednesday morning, and I would leave Friday morning every week for years. Yeah, and that's like a good week. That's like a normal week. I'd have that 36 hours at home, essentially. Right. Like, we would have tours that would take us away for months at a time. It was. I mean, there's no chance to have a proper relationship in that situation.
I read in doing this research on you, you were open to being in a poly relationship. How did Becky come along and completely change your mind? You're like, I thought I wanted poly, but I'm good with just one.
What I really needed was to be single. That's what I needed. That's what I needed. I was a serial monogamist for my whole adult life, and I just needed to. Hey, you're okay being by yourself, dude.
Right.
You're fine. You just need to figure it out. I mean, I was from 19 until. When did me and Becky start dating? It would have been 19, so 6 years ago. So, I was 34. So, 15 years, I was just in relationship after relationship with, this much break in between. So, I never really got comfortable being by myself. Really just got comfortable. And that's what I needed. But I was like, at the end of my last relationship before I started dating her, I was like, all right, I'm just not cut out for monogamy. I'm not cut out for being in a relationship. I just need, maybe it's like I can just do, like, I can be in a relationship, but, you know, maybe like be in that relationship and not really be in that relationship. You know what? I just needed to be single.
Right.
And I just didn't know how to process it all. So, and I'm probably like intaking too much information, reading too much about it, thinking too much about it. And the bottom line was either A, I needed to be single, which I just didn't know how to do, or B, I needed to find
The right person.
the right partner, and I did. And that was once we locked that in, I was done. I mean, I had a ring on order within like 2 months.
But here's the thing. Obviously, when you wrestle, you probably had a couple of your dates around, and she probably saw him. She's like, "Nah, Seth, I'm good, bro. You ain't ready for anything serious."
Well, when we started seeing each other, like, because it was, you know, we were both scared of getting involved with someone we worked with.
Right.
And so we were like, yeah, you know, let's just keep it kind of chill. Maybe this is
Keep it
the
on the
right
hood.
thing. Yeah. But then she was like, you know what? I don't think so. You know, we can just be friends. We were friends before. We don't have to do any of that romantic
Right.
stuff. We'll just be friends. Because, like, if we're not going to be all in, then I don't want to. I don't
Right.
want to just do this little thing. I'm, you know, that's stupid because I like want to be all in, but I'm not gonna. So like, she's like, we'll just be friends. And the literal second she said that, I could like feel my heart be like, oh no, what have you done? Don't do that. I can't let you get away. I can't let you get away.
Right.
I'm like, but I'm supposed to be single now. I've decided that I needed to be single. She's also decided that I need to be single. You know, all these things are going on in my head at once. And then, like, I remember she hung up the phone and I'm like sitting there on the couch by myself going like, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. And thankfully it was wrong. And then I convinced her that it was wrong. And like 2 weeks later, she was like, you know what? We should be together.
Right.
And like I said, then it was done.
And you
It
guys
was
have been
over.
together ever since.
Ever since.
How did you know? Did you all, because like you said, you were friends, and yet, as friends, you know, some guys like, I can't be friends with a young lady or someone that I'm attracted to. But clearly you guys were friends. Did you have any idea that at some point in time that you guys could be in a relationship, or you just?
No. I mean, look, being in the WWE, look, man, I got to be friends with girls that I'm attracted to because they're all.
Because there are a lot of them. Yeah.
That's all they are. They're all beautiful women. You know what I mean? So you're friends with beautiful women. You just learn to figure that out. You know, it's not if you're not, then you're not gonna have no friends. You know, no female friends. So yeah, you learn to do that. You know, and that is tricky too. I think that's harder than I think people think it is. And it was something I had to learn a little bit, but yeah, once you got into that mode, it was like, yeah, no problem. And I never thought about her that way. I knew she was beautiful, thought she was fun, but the work, like, we just didn't mix. And like I was already dating, you know, I was in relationships, and she was, you know, seeing somebody or a couple guys here and there. So like outside of the industry. So we just it never even occurred until we were both single and at the right time, kind of talking to each other and spending more time together. And it was like, you know, the classic one thing led to another.
Why was she different?
Gosh, I mean, it's so interesting because
She's gonna see this, so be careful.
yeah, well, I can't describe it. She was just, it was so effortless. Mm-hmm. I think effortless to talk about anything. And to, I had a different type of respect for her right out of the gate because we had established a friendship for a long time. Our relationship was based on friendship, and based on a mutual respect, and based on that kind of love, as opposed to just, you know, I think I confused the feeling of lust for a long time with the feeling of love.
Yes.
And kind of let that carry me through into relationships that I would overstay my welcome for sure. With her, it was never about that. You know, it became lustful, became romantic, and it's that part of it. It's incredible, but that was not like the base for it. And so there was a respect, and there was an understanding and an appreciation. And I think those things like laid the foundation in a way that I had not experienced before. I mean, you can say, I mean, she's smart and funny and kind and sweet, you know, you give all that stuff. Yeah. But the basis and the foundation for the relationship was unique in a way that I have not experienced. And when you just find that person that feels like your person, where you have that connection that's different and unique. It was just there. It was immediate. Once the spark hit, I was like, oh, that's the thing. That's what they all talk about. That's what they write the movies. That's what they, that's what it is.
You were originally scheduled to be in Captain America. But they had your scene removed. Bastards. Did you know they were going to remove that scene, or were you like, or did they call and say, well, Seth, you didn't survive the cutting room floor?
That's correct. Yeah. so the movie went through a million rewrites, and I had gotten a call from producers, also a friend of mine. His name's Nate Moore. He's a wonderful guy, great producer, and he was working on that film. And so we had done it. We shot the whole thing. It was awesome. I would love to see the B-roll of that, because I had some pretty sick scenes in there where I'm beating up Anthony Mackie. And I'd love to see where that exists. But, the studio wasn't happy with the direction of the film. They wanted to change some things. And they didn't just say, hey, you're out. They called me and they said, hey, we're repurposing the beginning of this film. I was in like kind of a group of roles, like we were a team. We're repurposing that into one person. They allowed me to read for the role. Just in the chance that they saw something they really liked, and they would cast me in that. So I read for the role, and I was like, and then I saw Giancarlo Esposito, Gus Fring from Breaking Bad get cast in it, and I'm like, well, I think they had their heart set. I'm not competing with that guy anyway. That's an elite actor. So yeah, then they called me back and were like, nah, we're gonna go in a different direction. So at least I got a heads up. I wasn't like waiting for that invite to the premiere and then got sad when I didn't get one. No, I knew it was up.
Do you want to do movies, or is that something you're interested in?
No, man. I only took I did a WWE movie back in 2016. I tore my ACL in November of 15. WWE Films, they had a studio at the time. They wanted me to come in and do a movie during my off time, which I did. Hated every second of it. I hated it. I did not want to do another one, which is why I didn't take another role until Nate called me and said, hey, would you like to do this thing in Captain America? And I'm like, I gotta do that.
Right.
It's
Captain America.
It's Captain America. It's Marvel. I gotta do that. So, but I just don't like it. I don't like the process of it,
It's a lot of sitting and waiting.
It's a lot of sitting and waiting. You're waiting for months for any sort of feedback. You don't even know if you're doing a good job. You're doing the same thing over and over and over. I was not for me. Again, if the right prospect came along, I would consider it, but no, I got my toes dipped in some other pools right now. So
if your daughter wanted to become a wrestler, her mom's a wrestler, her dad's a wrestler, you open to that?
Yeah. I think if you asked me that like 20 years ago, I'd have said no, like the business was in a much different place. But thanks to my wife and some of the other women who've really pioneered change in WWE, the way the business looks at women now is completely different. What it means to be successful and good in our industry is not just about how you look. It's about what you can do. Whether you can talk, it's all the same metrics that it is for men.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a much better place for women than it was even when I came in 2012. So if she wanted to do it, great. I'd support her and help her out.
Yeah. Because, in the beginning, women had very, very limited roles in wrestling. You might see them like once every 3 to 4 months.
But it was, and they were on TV for 2 minutes, and it was probably a bra and panties match, or Jerry Lawler was screaming puppies or something like that. It wasn't... It was awful, It was awful.
We've seen some of the biggest stars in the WWE go on to become very, very big in acting. We see Rock. He's probably your biggest. And you got Batista. And you see Roman Reigns. You said that's not something that you're really interested in.
Nah.
Do you think those guys got into WWE thinking it would transition them into acting? Because I remember Rock in The Mummy, and the next thing I know he's in The Scorpion King, and the next thing I know he's The Rock. I mean, he's DJ. He's huge. He's doing everything.
Yeah.
Same thing with Batista.
No, I don't think so. I think they all, they came into it different ways. Like you look at the big ones like John Cena and DJ, and they both. I mean, DJ grew up in it, right? His dad.
Yeah, his dad.
His grandpa, like all his family. Like he's a part of it. So he grew up around it. Tried college ball. It was really good. Got hurt. Didn't make the pros. And said, hey, let me give this thing a shot. And he just had an aptitude for it because he'd been around it his whole life, and he's a natural performer.
And he's perfect. I mean, he's 6'4", 250 pounds, athletic, can jump, can tumble, can do.
He's got it all, man. He's unbelievable. I mean, he's a total package, perfect. Like but his goal was never to be around for a long time.
Right.
He wanted to kickstart and go to Hollywood.
Right.
And when he got that opportunity, he made the most of it. John, same way, loved the business, just wanted to be a wrestler. Like he was working at gyms and stuff like that, got an opportunity to get trained and become a wrestler and did it. And just was like, I love this. I'm going to do this. And then eventually, the role Hollywood came calling, came asking, and he developed a love for that. And now he's, John Cena, the action star. So I think when you see the people transition, it's they have a genuine passion for our industry, and Hollywood sees that, and they see marketability in these guys or girls, and they come, and the opportunities are there, and some people love it and want to do it, and are great at it. That ain't me.
What's a routine like? So what's your week like as far as working out when you're on the docket?
I'll train like 4 or 5 times a week usually. Man, I used to train like a psychopath, and then I hit 35 and I just didn't recover the way I used to, and I was like, I think I pump it down a little bit. So, and then I became a dad as well, and your time just changes.
You got to divvy it up.
Yeah, your priorities change a little bit, and I didn't want to be at the gym for 2.5 hours anymore, and so I didn't want to train 7 days a week anymore. I wanted to spend time with my kid and my family and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I'll do like 4 days a week. We travel on Sunday, do the show on Monday. Occasionally there's the pay-per-views on Saturday, and it's a longer weekend. I'm a little bit older, so I got to count what I'm eating. Wrestling's an aesthetic business, so I got to look a certain way. I try to get some body work done once a week just to make sure everything's tidy. If I've got something that's worse, I might get a couple times a week. Get the girl over to the house, get the elbow in the knots, So, and that's it. And then I try to be a dad when I'm home. Try to take my kid to school and pick her up from school and do all the stuff.
Does she travel with you guys when you guys on the road?
She used to when she was younger. She started like preschool this year, and so she's kind of locked in one place.
Right.
We'll still take her on like some select trips, but Becky, so she was born in December 2020, and Becky was off until July of 21. And then once Becky was back in July, our daughter came with us everywhere. She came with us every weekend. We took her all over the world. It was awesome. I mean, it was hard, but it was awesome.
Right.
I mean, not everybody who's like a traveling working parent gets the opportunity to just like take their kid everywhere in the world with them, and we were so fortunate to be able to spend that time with her.
Is it a situation now that you guys alternate weekends or something? When she's on the road, you're at home,
My mom moved out to Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, well that's awesome.
Yeah, my mom's out there, so grandma, she gets to spend time with grandma, But we just make it work. If Becky's gone, she was just gone for a good three-week stretch or so, and fortunately I was hurt and home and able to do it, and I wasn't on the road. But yeah, I mean, if the schedule looks daunting and we're going to be gone for long periods of time, we'll get ahead of it. We'll talk to WWE, and they're so much better now than days past, where they are more family friendly. They are like, hey, let's make this work. And there's not a lot of like, Becky and I are pretty unique in the sense that we both do the gig, right? Like a lot of times when people have kids, it's their partner stays at home. They don't have they work from home. They have a regular job or whatever. So we're a very unique situation where we both do this, and WWE has been extremely accommodating and helping us make sure that our kid is has a parent there at all times.
When you have to go to the bathroom.
In the ring?
In the ring.
Oh, it never happens.
Really?
No. I mean, we're not playing. You guys got a 3-hour game. You know what I mean? Our matches are at most. A crazy one would be an hour long. Like the Royal Rumble's an hour long, but you're not in there for the whole time. So you don't. It never occurs to me.
So nobody's ever had to go to the bathroom?
I'm sure it has happened. It's just like it's not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Because we go on the sideline.
Yeah. We get a nervous, like I have a nervous pee sometimes before the match. You know what I mean? I got to run to like a bathroom real quick and get it out. But once it's out, I'm good. Yeah. Once I'm through the curtain, it's done. It's over.
Well, that would be bad.
Yeah, it would not be fun.
You tell hey ref, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You got to go ahead and count me out. I know.
I'm gonna roll into the ring, get a little bottle, and go. You know.
You roll up under the ring? That's what you did?
That'd be if you needed to do it. That'd be how you do it. You go get a water bottle in there, a Gatorade bottle or something, roll into the ring, and do your thing, and get back out real quick.
Wow.
I've known guys who've actually ran to the back, not on TV, like on a live, like on a non-televised event.
Right.
Like they'll like do something, boom, go to the back, come back. But that never happened to me. Knock on wood.
We know you are a huge, ginormous Bears fan.
Yes, sir.
They might be heading to Indiana, the Indiana Bears.
Oh God.
No more Chicago Bears.
There's no way. Come on. Can you even imagine it? Can you even imagine it? The Gary Bears? Come on. Get out of here, dude. Get out of here. You know, look, that's a PR stunt. There's no way. That's Kevin Warren's going, come on. Yeah, keep pushing. They're not leaving Illinois. There's no
they
chance.
said that same thing about the Chiefs not leaving Missouri.
That's fair. I mean, as long as we still call them the Chicago Bears.
How you gonna call somebody Chicago Bears when they're in Indiana?
I mean, if you Kansas City, I mean, I guess Kansas City's the same either way.
You got Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri. So.
Well, we're just gonna have to rename Gary. It's just gonna have to be Chicago. We're just gonna have to
Chicago,
change the name.
Indiana?
Yeah, Chicago, Indiana. Just change the dang thing.
What you saw the vast improvement from the Bears this year?
Oh, it was great.
I mean, you'd see they brought in Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams has performed unbelievable. The defense played better. You got skill position, but Ben Johnson is the big reason.
Yeah.
What has you so enthusiastic about the Bears moving forward?
I mean, just they've got it. They've got a quarterback and a coach, and if that stays synced up and you stay in that same system, I mean, you see the modern NFL. That is the recipe for success. Especially when you look at the big dynasties. You look at Brady and Belichick. You look at Mahomes and Reed. I mean, that's it. You know what I mean? That's what you want, and that's what everybody looks for. And so when you see teams that are getting rid of coaches and drafting quarterbacks, just hiring coaches just so they can link them up like that, you know? So, I mean, I think when you've got the guy behind center who's tough, can throw the ball, wants to learn, wants to get better, and you've got the guy calling the plays who also seems to be a great leader from what I can understand. Players want to play for him. You know, that's the recipe for success. And it feels like this year felt different than for the Bears. You know, they over the last 20 years, they've had a couple seasons that, you know, you look good. And, you know, they had Nagy's first year with Mitch Trubisky. You said, oh, baby, this just felt different, man. Felt different this year with Caleb. And, you know, could be wrong, could be a wash next year. The NFL's a crazy place. But I went to some of the games at Soldier Field this year. It was a really special experience to be there and watch this team.
Can you guys win a championship? How soon before you guys win a championship?
You know, I honestly thought, and I predicted the Bears would have a really good season, but some of that was a little, you know, just me having a good time. I'll be honest with you, they exceeded my expectations this year. They exceeded my expectations this year, and I think everybody kind of thought it might take 2 years to get them where we wanted, you know, what's this going to look like with Caleb Williams?
Right.
The fact that they were able to progress so quickly and start winning games and continue to win games through the season, win the North with the Packers and the Lions. I mean, the Vikings had a great year last year, but the Sam Darnold thing was chaos for them. You know, they might live to regret that decision. I think the Bears to win the North this year was huge. I think they were, and I look, the Packers game, wild card game, I was nervous about. I actually thought I was kind of not too scared about the Rams. I thought they were going to win that game, and we're very close. Yeah. They're there. I mean, look at the elite teams in the NFC. I don't think they're that far off. If everybody stays put and they get healthy and they you know, they keep going. That offense, you only touched on what it could be.
Right.
So, yes, they can win a Super Bowl with this
Seth,
group.
thanks for stopping by Club Shay Shay, bro.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
dude.
you, man. Seth Rollins.
Great chats, man.
Thank you to the Clift Hotel for hosting us at this beautiful Redwood Room. This iconic space has been the crown jewel of San Francisco for over 100 years. It was in this very room where the masterminds of Silicon Valley met to plan the future, all inside of space made out of an 800-year-old redwood tree. Thank you again to the Redwood Room at the Clift Hotel for having us.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why.